Hey everyone, ready to dive deep into the world of Bumblebee? Released on December 21st, 2018, this film has sparked endless discussions, and today, we're uncovering every thrilling detail. If you enjoy this deep dive, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps us grow. And for more incredible movie explorations and hidden gems, subscribe to the channel. Now, let's unravel the magic behind this cinematic masterpiece. Set in 1987, Bumblebee rewinds the clock on the explosive Transformers franchise, delivering something more heartfelt, grounded, and emotionally resonant than its predecessors. The film opens with a war-torn Cybertron, where the Autobots are losing the battle against the Decepticons. Optimus Prime orders his loyal soldier B-127 to retreat to Earth and establish a base for the Resistance. This moment not only sets the tone for the film but also instantly grounds Bumblebee as a character of purpose and loyalty. It's a classic underdog mission, and one that quickly becomes personal. When B-127 crash lands on Earth in the midst of a military training exercise, things spiral quickly. Sector 7, a covert government agency led by Agent Jack Burns, played by Cena, mistakes Bumblebee for a threat. But it's not just the humans after him. A Decepticon named Blitzwing follows him to Earth, leading to a brutal confrontation that leaves Bumblebee voiceless and severely damaged. He escapes, but his memory is corrupted. Disguising himself as a yellow VW Beetle, he lies dormant, waiting. Enter Charlie Watson, played by Hailee Steinfeld, a teenager still grieving the loss of her father and struggling to find her place in the world. She discovers the broken-down Beetle in a junkyard and brings it home, only to find that it's more than just a car. Their first encounter is pure cinematic charm, equal parts fear, wonder, and humor. It's this human-Autobot bond that forms the emotional core of the story, and it's handled with surprising tenderness and sincerity. As Bumblebee begins to remember pieces of his past, Charlie becomes his closest friend and protector. Their bond deepens in scenes that blend 80s nostalgia with genuine heart, whether it's them dancing together in a garage or escaping from military forces. Unlike previous Transformers films, Bumblebee slows things down, allowing us to connect with its characters, both human and robotic. The film uses silence as power, especially with Bumblebee unable to speak, relying on expressive body language and the clever use of his radio to communicate. But trouble isn't far behind. Decepticons Shatter and Dropkick, voiced by Angela Bassett and Justin Theroux, arrive on Earth posing as peacekeepers. They manipulate Sector 7 into helping them, all while searching for Bumblebee. The duality of alien technology and human distrust adds a layer of tension. It's not just a fight between Autobots and Decepticons. It's about paranoia, misunderstanding, and the danger of fear-fueled decisions. The action sequences are refreshingly coherent and intimate. Whether it's Bumblebee taking on military drones in a forest or the final battle at the radio tower, director Travis Knight, from Kubo and the Two Strings, opts for emotional stakes over pure spectacle. Every fight is tied to character motivation, making them feel earned rather than obligatory. The cinematography leans into natural lighting, a dusty palette of golden California coastlines, and vintage flair that makes the film feel timeless yet specific. Charlie's arc is equally important. Her journey from grief and isolation to empowerment mirrors Bumblebee's recovery and reawakening. She finds strength not just in helping him, but in learning to stand up for herself. There's a crucial moment near the end where she leaps from a collapsing tower to save him. A bold, selfless act that cements her as more than just a sidekick. She's a hero in her own right. The emotional climax strikes when Charlie has to say goodbye. Knowing that Earth is no longer safe for him to remain hidden, Bumblebee assumes his now iconic Camaro form and drives off to reunite with Optimus Prime. It's a bittersweet moment that mirrors classic 80s fare like E.T. A friendship forged, a journey completed, and a goodbye that tugs at the heartstrings without feeling manipulative. In the final scenes, Optimus Prime appears, silhouetted in the forest mist, signaling the beginning of the Autobot resistance on Earth. It's a powerful, restrained way to connect the film back to the larger Transformers mythology without overwhelming its standalone story. The brilliance of Bumblebee lies in its simplicity and sincerity. By stripping away the noise of bombastic CGI overload, it lets the characters breathe, the story unfold naturally, and the emotional beats land with impact. The 80s setting isn't just aesthetic. It feeds into the film's soul, from its killer soundtrack to the analog warmth of its world. Ultimately, Bumblebee isn't just a prequel or a reboot. It's a heartfelt coming-of-age story wrapped in a sci-fi adventure. It reminds us that blockbusters can be quiet, intimate, and deeply moving without sacrificing fun or visual flair. It gave fans a new lens through which to view the Transformers universe, one that values connection over chaos. In the final weeks of 2018, just before the year closed, something truly unexpected happened in the world of big blockbuster movies. On December 21st, 2018, Bumblebee hit theaters, a film that many thought would just be another explosion-filled chapter in the Transformers franchise. But from the very first scene, it was clear this movie was different. It didn't open with loud chaos or non-stop action. Instead, it introduced heart, nostalgia, and a whole new kind of storytelling. Directed by Travis Knight, known for the beautifully animated Kubo and the Two Strings, this film took a giant leap away from what fans had come to expect from the series. And somehow, that shift made all the difference. At its core, Bumblebee is a story about friendship, healing, and discovering strength in unlikely places. While it still features the giant alien robots that audiences love, it focuses more on emotion than destruction. That's one of the biggest reasons it stood out from the other Transformers films. It dared to slow down. It gave characters space to grow. It introduced quieter moments that carried more weight than 100 special effects could deliver. Instead of being just a loud visual experience, Bumblebee became something personal, something that resonated with audiences on a deeper level. Right away, the setting pulls you in. It's 1987, and the world feels different, simpler, warmer, more real. There's something about the way the film uses this time period that makes everything feel more grounded. From cassette tapes and payphones to flannel shirts and vintage cars, the details aren't just used for style. They become part of the story's heartbeat. And into this world crashes B-127, a young Autobot sent by Optimus Prime to Earth during the fall of Cybertron. But when he arrives, he's not met with peace. Instead, he's hunted. He's attacked by humans, then brutally damaged by a Decepticon named Blitzwing, who rips out his voice and leaves him nearly dead. With his memory fading, B-127 takes the form of a dusty yellow Volkswagen Beetle and shuts down, waiting. Enter Charlie Watson, a lonely teenager still grieving her father's death and trying to survive the awkward mess of growing up. Played by Hailee Steinfeld in one of her most heartfelt performances, Charlie is not your typical action movie lead. She's quiet, tough, and smart. With a dry sense of humor and a deep sadness she hides from everyone around her. When she finds the beat-up Beetle in a junkyard, something draws her to it. She fixes it. She connects with it. And when it transforms into a giant robot in her garage, her life changes forever. The bond between Charlie and Bumblebee is where this film finds its soul. Their friendship develops slowly and naturally, full of small, emotional moments. Bumblebee can't speak. His voice was torn out in battle, so he uses radio clips and body language to communicate. This could have easily been played for laughs, and yes, there are funny moments. But it's also deeply touching. Without words, Bumblebee expresses fear, confusion, loyalty, and affection. He's not just a machine, he's a character with real feelings. Watching Charlie teach him about Earth, protect him from danger, and stand up for him becomes one of the most engaging emotional threads of the movie. But things don't stay peaceful for long. Far out in space, two dangerous Decepticons, Shatter and Dropkick, trace Bumblebee's signal and arrive on Earth. They deceive the U.S. military, led by Agent Jack Burns, played by John Cena, by pretending to be allies. In reality, they're hunting Bumblebee and trying to bring the war to Earth. This creates a tense situation where the real enemy is welcomed, and the true hero is hunted. The film cleverly explores themes of misunderstanding and fear. People fear what they don't understand, and Bumblebee, despite being kind and gentle, becomes a target because of that fear. As the threats grow stronger, so does Charlie. Her journey becomes about more than helping Bumblebee. It's about helping herself. She starts to speak up, take control, and face her past. There's a powerful scene where she finally dives off a cliff, something she was too afraid to do before, symbolizing how far she's come. That's what makes this story special. It's not just about robots fighting. It's about a girl who learns how to live again, and a robot who learns what it means to be human. The film builds toward a final battle at a radio tower, where Bumblebee must stop the Decepticons from sending Earth's location to their army. The action is fast but never confusing. You can always see what's happening. The fights are emotional, not just visual. Bumblebee doesn't just smash things, he protects, defends, and sacrifices. And in the end, after saving Earth, he knows it's time to let Charlie go. Their goodbye is quiet but powerful. He transforms into a sleek Camaro and disappears down the road, just as Optimus Prime arrives, ready to rebuild their team. What makes Bumblebee so extraordinary isn't just the fresh direction or the amazing visuals, though those are impressive. It's the emotion. It's the way the story connects two outsiders, one human, one alien, and makes you care deeply about both. The music plays a huge part in that too. The film is filled with classic tracks from the 80s, songs that feel nostalgic even if you weren't alive during that time. Each one adds personality to the scenes and helps Bumblebee communicate. It's clever and full of charm. Visually, the film stands out from the others in the series. The robots actually look like their original designs from the old cartoons. Simpler, brighter, easier to follow. The CGI blends well with the real world, making everything feel believable. And because the camera doesn't constantly spin or zoom, you can enjoy the details. There's respect for the audience's eyes. But more than anything, the film respects your heart. It knows that emotional connection matters more than size or sound. So how did Bumblebee become such a cultural moment? In a world full of loud, chaotic blockbusters, this film slowed down and told a story with feeling. Critics praised it, longtime Transformers fans were surprised by its warmth, and new viewers found it accessible even without knowing the series. It was a turning point for the franchise. A soft reboot, a fresh start, and a reminder that great storytelling doesn't need to be noisy. The movie also reflected something personal for a lot of people. Charlie's pain, her struggle to connect, her search for purpose. These are things many people understand. And Bumblebee, with his broken voice and big heart, became more than a robot. He became a symbol of loyalty, friendship, and quiet strength. Their relationship wasn't just about saving the world. It was about saving each other. That emotional core turned a sci-fi film into something that stuck with audiences long after the credits rolled. Even today, people return to Bumblebee because it offers something honest. It's a comfort movie for some, an exciting discovery for others. It showed what the Transformers universe could be when character comes first. It was bold enough to be quiet, brave enough to be gentle, and smart enough to know that even in a world of giant robots, it's the small moments that matter most. From the very opening scene, we are thrust into a desperate struggle on a distant, war-ravaged planet called Cybertron. Massive metal towers crumble, sparks scatter, and Autobots fight valiantly, but lose ground against the ruthless Decepticons. Optimus Prime, the noble leader, gives one final command. B-127 must escape to Earth and set up a resistance. It's a heavy moment, filled with urgency and noble sacrifice, and it instantly sets the tone. This is not just another robot story. It's a mission with heart. We then jump to Earth to a military training exercise where a young soldier accidentally shoots down what he thinks is a UFO. That wreck is actually B-127, now damaged and stranded. When he emerges, bright yellow and imposing, armed forces panic. They don't see a hero, they see an alien threat. Meanwhile, a brutal Decepticon named Blitzwing arrives, severing B-127's voice and memory, leaving him nearly broken. With no words and fading identity, he flees into hiding, shutting down in the form of a dusty Volkswagen Beetle in a junkyard. It's haunting and quiet, an alien hero reduced to forgotten metal. This silent wreck lies dormant, until one teen named Charlie Watson steps into the picture. She's 1980s America personified. Cassette tapes, neon posters, and an undercurrent of loneliness. Charlie is smart and introverted, still grieving her father's death and feeling like an outsider at school. She works in the junkyard with her uncle, fixing small electronics and learning to fend for herself. When she finds the yellow beetle, she doesn't see scrap. She sees potential. She brings it home, seeking to breathe life into something discarded. Something magical happens when you least expect it. While tinkering with the beetle in her garage, Charlie is startled as metal creaks and plates shift. Bumblebee awakens. In an instant, the silent machine transforms into a towering robot. There's fear in her eyes, yes, but also wonder. What follows is a moment of connection. A girl and a robot who don't yet speak the same language, bonding over curiosity and cautious trust. Bumblebee can only communicate through sound clips on a radio, songs, talk shows, movie lines, but you instantly sense intelligence and loyalty behind his glowing optics. Charlie's early attempts at understanding her new friend are filled with humor and tenderness. She learns his name, Bumblebee, after a radio clip and decides to help him. She repairs him, feeds him spaghetti, and even records them dancing together to 80s tunes under the dim garage light. Meanwhile, tension builds outside her quiet world. Sector 7, a secret U.S. agency led by Agent Jack Burns, stern, suspicious, and determined to shield Earth from alien threats, is zeroing in. Burns has trauma from past encounters with Autobots and Decepticons, and his fear bleeds into every decision. To him, anything unknown is a risk. The contrast between Charlie's gentle, nurturing world and Burns' watchful, rigid world creates narrative tension. It's a conflict built on misunderstanding. Charlie sees a wounded friend. Burns sees a potentially dangerous alien. And high above, in deep space, Vigilance detects Bumblebee's signal. That signal carries a beacon for Decepticon warriors, Shatter and Dropkick, who travel to Earth disguised as glamorous human astronauts. They bring charm and diplomatic faux smiles, hiding twisted plans and deadly intent. Even before Shatter and Dropkick arrive, foreboding echoes. Charlie hears strange engines overhead, ships landing under cover of night. Sector 7 receives garbled transmissions. Bumblebee twitches, senses anger in the air. Charlie glimpses cracks in his armor. Each small moment is a thread in the growing web of suspense. The film doesn't rely on cheap jump scares. Instead, it weaves dread, quiet footsteps outside the garage, hurried phone calls across secure channels, glances that speak louder than words. Character moments strengthen the bond. We see Charlie standing up to bullies at school, finding courage she thought gone after losing her father. Bumblebee helps her avoid trouble, but also begins to protect her in a way only a devoted friend would. He arms himself with courage and purpose, even though his voice is gone. That transformation, from damaged soldier to beloved guardian, is central to the first half. At one pivotal moment, Charlie learns about a military exercise she failed because she was afraid. This confession, soft and honest, is echoed by Bumblebee's earlier hesitation during his crash landing. These mirrored fears drive them to grow together. As machines move in the shadows and the U.S. government closes in, Charlie builds a rudimentary garage control center, a place where she and Bumblebee can observe, prepare, and hope. They rig cameras, listen to scanners, and gather clues. Feels hopeful, brave, but fragile. Then the tension cracks wide open when Sector 7 arrests Charlie's uncle and confiscates the beetle for analysis. Charlie is terrified, filled with anger and grief. She demands answers. She finally breaks free of her shy shell and confronts Burns face-to-face in the Sector 7 garage. Burns doesn't see a grown woman. He sees a girl getting in the way. When Bumblebee breaks free in a burst of mechanical ferocity to protect Charlie, chaos erupts. Wires spark, glass shatters, military drones open fire. And through it all, the bond between girl and robot becomes an unstoppable force. They escape the compound under cover of night. The beetle races down empty roads. Charlie, holding old family photos, drives with tears and adrenaline swirling inside her. All the while Bumblebee stands guard. At that moment, it isn't about war, it's about belonging. And though the first half ends without a final confrontation, it ends with a promise. A promise of missions ahead, danger growing, friends turning into something stronger, and the world on the brink of something big. This first half is charged with layered tension. We meet key players: Charlie, the brave and grieving teen; Bumblebee, the damaged but loyal warrior; Burns, the suspicious agent terrified of what he doesn't know; and the unseen Decepticons plotting from above. Every scene builds stakes. Every silence carries weight. Early conflicts, like memory loss, identity, trust, misunderstanding, aren't just plot points. They are emotional battlegrounds. And as the tension mounts, you sense that secrets are about to be revealed, alliances tested, and bonds forged in fire. By the midway point, we're not just watching a sci-fi story. We're feeling something real. We understand loss, protection, and the will to belong. We sense that Bumblebee's journey on Earth is not just survival, it's redemption. And Charlie's is not just healing, it's transformation. The world behind them is heating up, Decepticons drawing near, the government tightening control. But what feels urgent is this fragile friendship. And in that delicate trust, a major twist awaits. One that will change who they are and how they fight. Once Charlie and Bumblebee escape Sector 7, everything accelerates. Night air crackles with tension as the battered Beetle roars away, Charlie gripping the wheel while holding family photos, her grief mingling with fear and fierce determination. Bumblebee, silent but steadfast, scans their surroundings, every whir and light flicker suggesting danger, loyalty, hope. That escape isn't just flight, it's a turning point. The stakes shoot sky high. The chase on open roads captures that adrenaline charge that says, the quiet days are over. On the run, Charlie's resourcefulness takes center stage. She hides Bumblebee in remote garages, rigs makeshift cameras and alarms, and dives into old communications intercepts to track incoming threats. Every moment feels precarious. Sector 7's agents fan out, searching old scrapyards and calling in unidentified signals. Meanwhile, Charlie deciphers newspaper clippings and old radio chatter, piecing together Bumblebee's history. Together, they uncover that he crashed long ago, his signal activated faintly as a distress beacon, one that Decepticons have followed across the galaxy. Back at Sector 7 headquarters, Agent Burns is on the offensive. His rigid worldview cracks when he reviews surveillance footage showing Bumblebee defend Charlie, not attack. He begins to doubt. Maybe this alien is not their enemy. That doubt simmers as Shatter and Dropkick arrive, slipping behind enemy lines disguised as peacekeepers. Their charm is menacing, thin smiles, diplomatic airs. But their real mission is to capture Bumblebee and complete the mission of capturing Earth. Each of their moves reveals more about the dangers ahead, and just how far the conspiracy runs. When the Decepticons reveal their true colors in a covert Sector 7 briefing, chaos erupts. They trap Burns and other agents in lies, play political games, and twist human fears. In a beautifully tense moment, Burns confronts the truth, that humans are siding with monsters disguised as saviors. His panic turns into rage, and his resolve shifts from threat containment to active protection of Charlie and Bumblebee. It's a radical shift in character, one driven by seeing truth and choosing the right side, even if he's behind. Meanwhile, Charlie learns more about Bumblebee's mission. She discovers that he carried a message from Optimus Prime, embedded in his memory banks, but it is fragmented. As she restores small parts of his data, she sees glimpses: the fall of Cybertron, a noble Autobot resistance, and a plan to rebuild. These restored memories are emotional echoes that bind them even deeper. Charlie seeing his loyalty, his pain, his sense of purpose. And she's no longer just his caretaker. She becomes his ally in destiny. Then comes the most heart-pounding sequence: the battle at the radio tower. Decepticons intend to use its broadcasting power to send Earth's location across space. Charlie and Bumblebee infiltrate the site at dusk. Shadows of steel and concrete stretch across the glowing tower lights. The air hums with power lines. There's no music yet, only slow dread. They prank alarms, evade cameras, and make their way inside. Every step forward tightens the noose of fear and heightens the promise of valor. When Shatter and Dropkick show up, disguised as peaceful agents, Bumblebee leaps into action. The fight begins. Metal colliding, sparks flying, old radio broadcasts crackling through Bumblebee's system as he reassembles himself. The tower room becomes a battlefield as Decepticons rip apart infrastructure, and Bumblebee protects Charlie with moves cast in glowing yellow and steel strength. Charlie stays close, remote in hand, tears in her eyes, trusting in the bond they forged. At the climactic moment, Bumblebee is cornered. His voice systems are offline, memory shards flicker, and death seems near, but something inside him surges. He taps into buried heroic programming, a final, radiant surge of light and life. He topples shatter through floors, deflects Dropkick's attacks, sacrifices parts of himself to block transmissions, sacrificing his own safety to save the world. And near collapses, Charlie cries out, spiders of dust falling as wiring explodes overhead. Yet Bumblebee stands, battered but unbroken, proof that friendship can fuel courage. As authorities swarm, Agent Burns arrives, realizing the truth at last. He witnesses Bumblebee shielding Charlie as troops rush in. The world has shifted. Where fear once ruled, respect and understanding now bloom. Burns orders his agents to stand down. He disables the bombs, cuts off military drones. In that moment, he switches from commander to protector, pledging that humans and Autobots can build trust. The emotional weight peaks when Charlie falls into Bumblebee's outstretched hand. She's crying, exhausted, and he kneels beside her, silent tears in optics. Her grief over her father mingles with relief over her friend. A chance for new beginnings. Construction debris drifts around them as the tower begins to collapse, and they sprint out together, escaping just in time. After the tower crash, reality shifts. Bumblebee, now weak but stable, limps into daylight. Charlie helps him to a hidden hillside overlook near the ocean. Waves crash below. She holds his frame. He flickers a fading yellow glow. Together they watch a horizon that might mean rescue or goodbye. They share a moment. His chatter from vintage radio clips, her soft goodbye. It's bittersweet, knowing the war for Earth is just starting. But this chapter of friendship is ending. And then the biggest surprise. Optimus Prime appears in person. Coming through mist near the forest edge, his voice resonant, commanding. He's real, larger than anything Charlie has ever seen. He lowers his head to Bumblebee in a silent salute. That moment ties everything together, the mission to Earth, the resistance plan, Bumblebee's loyalty. Optimus invites Charlie to join their fight, but Charlie knows her place is home. Tears and smiles mingle in her goodbye as she steps back. Bumblebee gives one last glowing blink. The unforgettable bond remains. In the very final shot, Bumblebee speeds away as the sun sets, chrome and yellow blur, and Charlie stands alone, grieving, healed, hopeful. His journey continues beyond her, but they carry each other forward. And for Charlie, a new chapter begins, with strength, joy, and love she thought lost forever. When the credits roll, you feel changes inside you. Both characters transformed, worlds shifted, sacrifices honored. The Decepticons may still be hunting, the war may still rage in the dark, but this victory is profound. It proves that love and bravery can change the course of destiny. Charlie Watson doesn't enter the story like a superhero. She's not loud or flashy. She's not trying to save the world. She's just trying to make it through another day. Working in a garage, dodging awkward family moments at breakfast, remembering the father who used to make her laugh, and carrying a pain no one around her truly sees. But from the moment she first appears, it's clear. Charlie's quiet strength is going to be the heart of the story. She's brave in ways that don't shout. And she's one of the most grounded and emotionally authentic characters the Transformers franchise has ever introduced. Hailee Steinfeld brings Charlie to life with incredible nuance. She doesn't just act. She makes you feel every bit of grief and grit that the character carries. Her eyes do a lot of the storytelling. One moment full of frustration, the next shining with a glimmer of hope as she finds the yellow Volkswagen Beetle that's been collecting dust in her uncle's yard. That's where everything changes, not with an explosion, but with a spark. Connection. Charlie doesn't just find a car. She finds something alive, something broken, something like her. That car, of course, is Bumblebee. And while he may be a warrior from another world, he enters Charlie's life not as a soldier but as a damaged, voiceless being in hiding. His memory is fractured, his voice box gone, his mission unclear. But the bond he forms with Charlie becomes the emotional core of the film. Bumblebee's movements, his hesitation, his curiosity, his clumsy but heartfelt efforts to fit in, make him instantly endearing. He's powerful, yes, but he's also vulnerable. And it's that vulnerability that pulls Charlie toward him, not out of fascination, but out of empathy. As their friendship grows, so does the story. What begins as an accidental discovery turns into a powerful alliance. Charlie helps Bumblebee find his voice, literally, through sound clips and radio snippets, and emotionally, by standing beside him even when the world turns against them. In return, Bumblebee becomes her protector, not just in battle but in everyday life. He defends her not only from physical threats but from the emptiness that's been quietly consuming her since her father died. Together, they heal. Together, they change. The transformation they undergo isn't just mechanical. It's deeply emotional. Charlie learns to stand tall again, to face what she's been avoiding, to reconnect with the people around her. She goes from someone who keeps her head down to someone who fights for what matters, even when it scares her. Bumblebee, meanwhile, evolves from a confused soldier into a selfless guardian, rediscovering his mission and embracing his humanity through her. Their arcs are mirror images, each lifting the other in ways words can't always explain. Then there's Agent Jack Burns, who begins the story as the film's human antagonist. He's a career soldier, hardened by experience and convinced that anything alien is dangerous. When he first encounters Bumblebee, all he sees is a threat. He reacts with hostility, suspicion, and aggression. But what makes Burns interesting is that he's not a villain. He's simply someone shaped by fear. As the story unfolds, his perspective starts to crack. He sees Bumblebee protect people. He sees the bond between Charlie and the Autobot. And most importantly, he starts to question what he's been told. By the end of the film, Burns changes sides, not with a dramatic speech, but with a quiet act of understanding. He lets Bumblebee go. He puts trust above fear. And in that moment, he redeems himself. Memo: Charlie's shy and sweet neighbor adds a softer layer to the story. He's not a fighter or a tech genius, he's just a kid who cares. At first, he's clearly nervous around Charlie, fumbling through awkward conversations and unsure of how to help. But he's loyal, and when things get dangerous, he doesn't run. He sticks by Charlie, not because he has to, but because he believes in her. His presence adds warmth and sincerity. He's the kind of character who doesn't need big action scenes to matter. His courage comes from kindness and quiet support. Charlie's family, though only seen in pieces, plays an important role in her emotional journey. Her mother, stepfather, and younger brother all represent the new life she hasn't fully accepted. There's tension at the breakfast table, misunderstanding in their conversations, and a distance that lingers between them. But as Charlie finds strength through her bond with Bumblebee, she also begins to reconnect with her family. Not perfectly, but honestly. Subtle but real. Growth isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just picking up the pieces and daring to move forward. The villains of the story, Shatter and Dropkick, are slick, menacing, and manipulative. They pose as peacekeepers to deceive humans and pursue their mission to eliminate Bumblebee and contact the Decepticons. They bring with them a real sense of danger, not just because of their firepower, but because of their cunning. Their presence raises the stakes and gives Bumblebee and Charlie something bigger to fight for. They are reminders that war is still out there, looming, and that peace must be protected, not just hoped for. And then, looming in the background, is Optimus Prime. He's not in most of the film, but his influence is everywhere. Through brief transmissions and flashbacks, we learn that Bumblebee was sent to Earth on a mission, one that ties into a much bigger war. Optimus represents leadership, purpose, and the hope of rebuilding. And when he finally appears near the end, it's a powerful moment. Not because of what he says, but because of what he symbolizes. That Bumblebee's journey wasn't in vain, and that a new chapter is about to begin. What makes all these characters so memorable is that they feel real. Their struggles, fears, and growth aren't buried under action. They are the action. Their choices matter. Their emotions drive the story. And the performances that bring them to life elevate the film far beyond typical blockbuster territory. Hailee Steinfeld gives a performance that's both heartfelt and grounded. Her portrayal of Charlie is layered with humor, pain, strength, and warmth. You root for her not just because she's the lead, but because you see yourself in her. Dylan O'Brien's voice work for Bumblebee, when the voice is briefly restored, adds charm and humanity. But the real magic comes from the animators who make the robot feel alive through body language and expression. John Cena balances humor and authority as Burns, while Jorge Lindeberg Jr. brings charm and sincerity to Memo. Each supporting role, from Charlie's family to the Decepticons, contributes something meaningful. Nothing feels wasted. Every character, no matter how small, has a purpose, shaping Charlie's world, pushing Bumblebee's growth, or raising the stakes. By the time the credits roll, what stays with you isn't just the explosions or the action. It's the people. It's the way Charlie finally smiles without sadness behind her eyes. It's the way Bumblebee looks back at her one last time before driving off. It's the transformation, not of machines, but of hearts. Watching Bumblebee with fresh eyes reveals how thoughtfully the filmmakers wove a tapestry of subtle references, clever nods, and meaningful symbols throughout the movie, enriching the experience for fans and newcomers alike. From the very first frame, the movie hints at deeper connections, honoring the long history of the Transformers franchise while inviting viewers to look closer. The setting itself, the mid-1980s, is no accident. The filmmakers carefully captured the spirit of that era, not only through costumes, hairstyles, and music, but also through cultural touchstones that evoke nostalgia without feeling forced. The soundtrack pulses with classic hits like The Touch by Stan Bush, a song famously tied to the original Transformers animated movie from 1986. This tune doesn't just play in the background. It becomes a sonic symbol of courage and transformation, echoing the movie's themes. When Charlie and Bumblebee share moments accompanied by that song, it's more than music. It's a bridge linking past and present, a subtle tribute to longtime fans. Even Bumblebee's voice box offers a layered reference. Since he can't speak in his usual robotic voice, he communicates through snippets of radio and movie clips, classic lines that sometimes come from other beloved sci-fi or action films. For example, his use of lines from Star Wars and Rambo nods to the kinds of heroes that shaped 1980s pop culture. These radio snippets act almost like a patchwork memory, showing Bumblebee piecing together his identity through the echoes of human stories he's absorbed. This clever detail adds emotional weight. Bumblebee isn't just a machine. He's learning what it means to be alive by borrowing voices from iconic characters who symbolize bravery and resilience. The film's choice of Bumblebee's original form, an old Volkswagen Beetle rather than the sleek Camaro seen in earlier movies, is itself a symbolic return to roots. The Beetle was Bumblebee's classic look in the 1980s animated series and original toys, so this decision was a deliberate nod to the franchise's origins. It signals a fresh start, an origin story that reconnects with the heart of the franchise rather than the explosive spectacle the later films became known for. The yellow paint is bright, warm, and inviting, contrasting with the darker military tones of the Decepticons, visually underscoring Bumblebee's role as protector and friend. Throughout the movie, little details reinforce the bond between Charlie and Bumblebee in ways viewers might easily miss on a casual watch. For instance, the way Bumblebee's eyes glow a warm, golden hue echoes the color of the Beetle itself, visually linking his identity to Charlie's world. When Charlie fixes Bumblebee's damaged parts in her garage, the tools and techniques she uses feel authentic and personal, as if she's restoring not just a machine but a friend. Even the subtle hum of the engine sounds more like a heartbeat in these scenes, inviting the audience to feel the connection on a subconscious level. One of the film's most delightful hidden details comes from its portrayal of Sector 7, the secret government agency tasked with containing extraterrestrial threats. The design of their headquarters and the technology inside subtly resemble those seen in other classic sci-fi franchises from the 80s and 90s, creating a nostalgic nod to fans of movies like The X-Files and Men in Black. Sector 7's agents' uniforms and badges incorporate insignias that cleverly blend real-world military aesthetics with fictional elements, grounding the movie's fantasy in a believable reality. The tension in these scenes is heightened by how familiar the setup feels, like a page from a government conspiracy thriller, making the stakes feel immediate. Foreshadowing threads quietly throughout the story, inviting the sharp-eyed viewer to piece things together before the big reveals. For example, Bumblebee struggles with his damaged voice hint at a larger theme of loss and recovery that extends beyond the physical. Early glimpses of his battle scars and moments where he pauses and looks at the sky foreshadow his longing for home and the grand conflict looming beyond Earth. The film never rushes these moments. Instead, it lets them simmer, adding emotional depth that pays off as the story unfolds. The relationship between Charlie and Bumblebee also carries symbolic weight beyond their immediate story. Charlie's journey of healing from her father's death parallels Bumblebee's own quest to reclaim his identity after being separated from his home planet and comrades. Their friendship is a metaphor for how connection and empathy can help mend wounds, whether emotional or physical. This thematic layering is reinforced visually. Both characters wear scars, carry weight, but move forward together. It's a quiet celebration of resilience and companionship, wrapped in the guise of a sci-fi adventure. Small Easter eggs pepper the film in ways that reward careful fans. For example, Charlie's father, though largely an off-screen presence, is referenced through objects and photos scattered in her garage and home. These items are filled with subtle clues, tools with a familiar logo, license plates hinting at past adventures, and old comic books that suggest the family's love for storytelling and heroism. These touches help flesh out Charlie's backstory without interrupting the narrative flow, offering layers for viewers who enjoy exploring a character's history in depth. There's also a wonderful moment when Bumblebee uses snippets from iconic movies and TV shows, not just as a way to communicate, but as a playful wink to audiences. His use of clips from E.T., The Breakfast Club, and Ferris Bueller's Day Off connects Bumblebee's story to the broader fabric of 1980s pop culture. These aren't random. They reflect themes of friendship, adventure, and the struggles of growing up, key elements shared across these classics. By threading them in, the film creates a subtle but rich cultural conversation. The Decepticons Shatter and Dropkick aren't just threatening villains. Their design and personalities hint at a backstory informed by previous franchise lore. Their sleek, aggressive forms and the way they manipulate Sector 7 recall the sinister corporate espionage themes present in earlier Transformers stories. The way they glide and shift into their alt forms also nods to the animation style of the original series, creating a nostalgic texture beneath their menace. For eagle-eyed viewers, their voice inflections and lines contain references to past betrayals and battles in the Transformers universe, deepening their presence beyond the surface threat. Even smaller elements, like the license plate seen on cars during chase scenes or the posters on school walls, hide playful references. Some feature Easter eggs that refer to future Transformer characters or nods to the creative team behind the film. These subtle touches invite fans to linger, rewind, and spot details that connect the story to the larger Transformer mythology. In the climax, when Bumblebee faces off against the Decepticons, the choreography of the fight and the sounds of battle carry symbolic undertones. The use of light and shadow, the momentary silences amid chaos, and Bumblebee's protective stance aren't just action beats. They're visual metaphors for courage in the face of overwhelming odds. The filmmakers use these moments to reinforce the film's emotional core, reminding viewers that beneath all the robot fighting is a story about heart, loyalty, and sacrifice. Making Bumblebee was anything but straightforward. From the moment the project took shape, it was clear this movie wanted to do something different. Not just another explosion-filled spectacle, but a heartfelt story that connected emotionally with audiences. That vision came with its own unique challenges and some surprisingly strange moments that almost no one outside the set ever got to hear about. One of the first and most unusual hurdles was how the filmmakers approached Bumblebee himself. Unlike previous Transformers movies, where Bumblebee was the sleek Camaro that dazzled on screen, this film went retro, choosing the classic Volkswagen Beetle shape for its hero. It wasn't a simple design decision. In fact, finding the perfect Beetle proved trickier than you'd think. The production team scoured junkyards, private collections, and even reached out to Volkswagen itself to source authentic 70s Beetles that could be transformed into Bumblebee's physical form. Many of the cars they found were in terrible shape, rusted or damaged beyond repair. The team had to carefully restore and modify them, blending real vehicles with CGI to create a believable and endearing Bumblebee. But here's where it gets strange. At one point, the team had a Beetle that inexplicably caught fire while filming a scene. No clear cause, just a sudden spark and flame that stopped production cold for a day. Some joked the car didn't want to be a star, while others believed it was a quirky sign of Bumblebee's tough origins. Hailee Steinfeld, who plays Charlie, brought her own surprising energy to the set. Known mostly for dramatic roles, she was stepping into a high-octane sci-fi franchise for the first time. What many fans don't realize is how involved she became in the physical aspects of the role. She insisted on doing many of her own stunts, even when the sequences required tricky choreography around complex CGI markers representing Bumblebee's movements. The filmmakers were cautious at first, concerned about safety, but Hailee's dedication meant she trained extensively in stunt work and fight scenes. One day, during a particularly complicated car chase sequence, she accidentally tripped over a cable, causing a domino effect that knocked over some equipment and delayed shooting for hours. Instead of frustration, the cast and crew burst into laughter, and Hailee's infectious spirit lightened the mood during what was otherwise a tense day of shooting. Dylan O'Brien, who lent his voice to Bumblebee during key moments, also has an interesting behind-the-scenes story. Early on, the director wanted Bumblebee to have very limited spoken lines, mostly communicating through sounds and radio snippets. But Dylan's voice test was so charming and heartfelt that they decided to give him a small number of actual words. However, the recording process wasn't as smooth as expected. Dylan found it oddly challenging to voice a character who was essentially a mechanical being, needing to convey emotion without the usual facial expressions or body language. To help, the sound team surrounded him with clips from classic movies and music from the 80s to inspire his delivery, blending his voice with subtle robotic effects afterward. The result was a voice that felt both human and alien, a perfect match for Bumblebee's unique identity. One of the film's most interesting creative choices involved the movie's music and sound design. Composer Dario Marianelli was brought on board to craft a score that balanced the sweeping emotion of a coming-of-age story with the intensity of a sci-fi action film. But Marianelli faced a strange challenge. How do you write music for a character who barely speaks and expresses himself mostly through beeps, boops, and mechanical sounds? The answer was to treat Bumblebee's sounds as musical instruments themselves. The sound team recorded and manipulated actual car noises, like the hum of an engine, clicks of gears, and even the distinctive horn, and wove them into the score in subtle ways. This created an almost symphonic experience where Bumblebee's presence was felt even in the quietest moments, giving the character a voice beyond words. The choice to set the movie in 1987 wasn't just for nostalgia. Director Travis Knight, who also has a background in animation and stop motion, wanted to capture a very specific cultural moment. The 80s represented a time of innocence and discovery, perfectly mirroring the film's themes. But this decision led to unexpected complications during filming. The crew had to painstakingly remove or hide any modern elements in every shot: cars, street signs, shop fronts, and even distant billboards. On several occasions, crew members had to physically climb onto rooftops or jump into the street to pull down modern advertising posters or cover contemporary logos. One particular scene had to be res-hot multiple times because a sleek, brand-new SUV accidentally drove past the camera in the background. This dedication to authenticity meant that the filmmakers weren't just telling a story. They were creating a living, breathing time capsule. Sector 7, the secret government agency hunting Bumblebee, was inspired in part by real-world conspiracy theories and classic spy thrillers, but the design and props used on set hide some amusing secrets. The badges and logos were custom-made, but they incorporate subtle jokes and references to the crew. For instance, one agent's badge number is 1987, nodding to the film's year, while the name tags on uniforms sometimes include the surnames of crew members who worked behind the scenes. This small touch was the team's way of leaving a hidden signature inside the film, a secret handshake for those who look closely. John Cena's portrayal of Agent Jack Burns brought a surprising blend of humor and authority, but few know how much improvisation happened during his scenes. Cena, coming from a wrestling background, was used to working live and reacting in the moment, and the filmmakers encouraged him to play around with his lines and timing. One famous on-set story involves a scene where Burns interacts with the Decepticons. Cena ad-libbed a sarcastic quip that wasn't originally in the script, causing the actors and even some of the special effects team to burst out laughing. The moment was so well received that it made the final cut, adding a layer of levity to what could have been a very serious scene. Some of the film's CGI magic involved groundbreaking technology that pushed the boundaries of what had been done with Transformers before. Travis Knight and his team used motion capture suits in a way that was unusual for a Transformers movie. Instead of simply animating the robots digitally, they recorded human performers mimicking the movements and emotions that the robots should express, translating those subtle gestures into the computer-generated characters. This technique allowed Bumblebee and the other Transformers to feel more alive, more relatable, giving them a kind of body language that fans immediately connected with. It was a delicate balance to maintain the mechanical feel while injecting human-like emotion, and it took months of trial and error to perfect. The film's special effects teams also had to face one of the strangest technical challenges when filming scenes with Bumblebee's voice box broken. Because Bumblebee speaks using radio and TV snippets, the timing and editing of these clips had to be meticulously planned and synced with the actors' mouth movements and the emotional beats of the scenes. This led to a few amusing moments on set where Hailee Steinfeld and Dylan O'Brien had to react to placeholder lines or nonsense sounds during filming, trusting that the final edit would make sense. During one take, an unexpected background radio broadcast played a bizarre weather report about a storm of frogs, which left the actors chuckling but was later replaced with a more appropriate clip. Beyond the filming itself, the production was peppered with unexpected delays and controversies. Originally, the movie was intended to be a prequel to the entire Transformers series, setting up a new timeline. But as the script developed, the filmmakers chose to focus on a standalone origin story, which led to some heated debates among the producers and studio executives. Some executives were nervous that stepping away from the established blockbuster formula would alienate fans, while the creative team pushed for a more intimate, character-driven story. This tension led to multiple script rewrites and a reshuffling of the release schedule. Ultimately, the risk paid off, with Bumblebee becoming one of the most beloved entries in the franchise precisely because of its heartfelt approach. On a lighter note, the set became a playground for pranks and fun. Cast and crew bonded over late-night shoots and long days, with many stories circulating about how Hailee Steinfeld would sneakily replace coffee with decaf during early morning takes, or how John Cena's wrestling friends sent surprise gifts to the set to lighten the mood. Even the animators and special effects artists joked that creating a lovable robot with a personality was sometimes harder than wrestling a real opponent. Finally, one of the most touching behind-the-scenes stories involves the film's connection with its fans. The production team invited a group of Transformers enthusiasts to visit the set during filming, allowing them to see the props and meet some of the cast. For many fans, this was a dream come true, and the filmmakers were moved by their passion. This spirit of inclusion extended into the final film, which feels like a love letter not just to Transformers, but to anyone who's ever felt like an outsider, found a friend, or believed in the power of hope. From the very first moments of Bumblebee, the film establishes a tone that sets it apart from the larger Transformers franchise, inviting viewers into a story that's as much about heart as it is about high-octane action. One of the most impactful scenes that resonates deeply comes early on, when Bumblebee crash lands on Earth, damaged and vulnerable. The rawness of this moment, far from the usual mechanical spectacle, grounds the character in a fragility that feels refreshingly human. The filmmakers take care to show Bumblebee's struggle not just to survive physically, but to preserve his identity, despite the damage that silences his voice. This scene establishes a powerful emotional core that ripples throughout the movie, inviting audiences to connect with a character who communicates not through words, but through actions and expressions. It's a bold choice, one that pays off by fostering empathy and setting the stage for a friendship that feels earned rather than forced. As the story unfolds, the meeting between Charlie and Bumblebee stands out as a pivotal moment charged with emotional weight and subtle storytelling. When Charlie first discovers the battered yellow beetle in the junkyard, her curiosity is met with hesitation and a hint of fear. This interaction is more than a simple introduction. It's a moment that encapsulates the movie's central theme of connection across differences. The filmmakers excel in portraying Charlie's cautious trust, capturing the small gestures, the way she cautiously approaches, the tentative touch, and Bumblebee's blinking eyes that convey both confusion and hope. For audiences, this scene feels intimate and genuine, setting a tone of warmth that contrasts beautifully with the often loud and explosive action sequences that follow. It reminds us that at the heart of Bumblebee is a story about understanding and acceptance, qualities that resonate universally. The evolving bond between Charlie and Bumblebee is further deepened through quiet, everyday moments that are surprisingly profound. One such scene involves Charlie teaching Bumblebee how to communicate using the radio snippets, a creative choice that injects humor and poignancy into their interactions. This method of communication highlights the theme of language and connection, showing how meaning transcends conventional speech. The juxtaposition of Bumblebee's mechanical nature with these familiar cultural references makes the character more relatable and adds a layer of nostalgia for viewers familiar with the 80s pop culture. Audience reactions to this inventive storytelling device have been overwhelmingly positive, with many praising the film for its emotional intelligence and the way it brings an old franchise to life through fresh eyes. Another standout sequence that has garnered critical acclaim is the intense confrontation between Bumblebee and the Decepticons, Shatter and Dropkick. This battle is not only visually stunning, showcasing cutting-edge CGI and dynamic choreography, but also thematically rich. The filmmakers use this moment to emphasize the stakes. Bumblebee is not just fighting for survival but protecting his new friend and the home he has come to cherish. The clash of colors, Bumblebee's bright yellow against the dark, menacing Decepticons, visually reinforces the classic battle between good and evil. Importantly, the tension is heightened by the emotional investment the audience has already formed with Bumblebee, turning what could have been a standard action set piece into a gripping emotional crescendo. The impact of this scene lingers long after the credits roll, underscoring the film's ability to blend spectacle with substance. One of the film's most emotionally charged moments comes during the heartbreaking flashbacks to Charlie's past, where she grapples with the loss of her father. These scenes deepen her character, revealing the layers beneath her adventurous spirit and resilience. The filmmakers handle this with a gentle touch, avoiding melodrama in favor of subtle, poignant storytelling. The intercutting of these memories with Charlie's present-day relationship with Bumblebee draws a parallel between grief and healing. It's a reminder that both characters, though vastly different, share a journey of recovery and hope. Audience reactions to these moments highlight the film's success in weaving emotional depth into a genre often dismissed as mere entertainment. These scenes invite viewers to reflect on loss and friendship, making the movie resonate on a more personal level. The moment when Charlie and Bumblebee share a quiet drive in the countryside is another gem that critics often highlight. This sequence slows the pace, allowing the audience to savor the simplicity of connection and the beauty of the natural world. The soft lighting, the gentle soundtrack, and the mutual understanding between the characters create a sense of peace amid the chaos of the story. It's a subtle but powerful reminder of the importance of companionship and trust. This scene acts as a breather, providing emotional balance while reinforcing the central themes of friendship and belonging. Viewers often cite this moment as one that made the characters feel real and relatable, anchoring the sci-fi elements in genuine human emotion. The film's exploration of identity is perhaps best encapsulated in Bumblebee's struggle with his lost voice and fragmented memory. This ongoing conflict is a metaphor for finding one's place in the world despite challenges and setbacks. The filmmakers handle this theme with nuance, using Bumblebee's damaged communication system as a symbol for vulnerability and the power of connection to overcome it. The gradual restoration of Bumblebee's voice parallels his growing bond with Charlie, symbolizing the healing power of friendship. Critics have praised this narrative thread for adding emotional complexity and making Bumblebee more than just a machine. It's a character with a relatable arc of loss, discovery, and renewal. The film's final act delivers a satisfying resolution that ties together the emotional and thematic threads woven throughout the story. The The climactic showdown is as much about courage and sacrifice as it is about spectacular action. Here, Bumblebee's willingness to put himself at risk to protect Charlie elevates him from a mere hero to a symbol of loyalty and love. The filmmakers use close-ups and lingering shots to capture the emotional gravity of these moments, ensuring the audience feels the weight of the sacrifice and the triumph. The resolution doesn't shy away from bittersweet elements, acknowledging that victory often comes with cost. This mature storytelling choice resonates deeply with audiences, setting Bumblebee apart from more conventional franchise fare. One of the more subtle yet significant moments is the closing scene where Bumblebee drives off into the horizon, his voice finally restored. This ending is loaded with symbolic meaning, representing hope, new beginnings, and the enduring power of friendship. The filmmakers avoid a typical sequel hook in favor of a more poetic closure, allowing the story to stand on its own while still hinting at a larger universe. This restraint has been praised by critics as a refreshing break from the franchise's usual bombast. It leaves viewers with a sense of satisfaction and optimism, making the film linger in their minds long after the credits roll. From the very start, Bumblebee reveals itself as more than just a sci-fi adventure with giant robots battling it out. Beneath the high-energy action and dazzling visuals lies a tender story rich with themes that speak to universal human experiences. At its core, the film is a meditation on connection, identity, and belonging, themes that pulse through every scene and character interaction, inviting viewers to see themselves reflected in this story of a damaged robot and a young girl finding each other. One of the most powerful themes running through the movie is the search for identity. Bumblebee arrives on Earth silent, physically broken, and with no memory of who he is or where he came from. His struggle to find his voice and purpose is a deeply symbolic journey that mirrors the challenges many face in their own lives, whether that's recovering from trauma, feeling lost in a new environment, or simply trying to understand oneself. Bumblebee's broken voice box is not just a technical glitch. It's a metaphor for vulnerability and the difficulty of expressing who we truly are when parts of us feel damaged or silenced. As he slowly learns to communicate through the radio, piecing together bits of language and culture, the film suggests that identity isn't fixed but constructed, fluid, and shaped by relationships and experiences. Charlie, the young woman who discovers Bumblebee, embodies themes of loneliness and the desire for belonging. Her journey parallels Bumblebee's as she grapples with the loss of her father and struggles to find her place in the world. The film carefully paints her as an outsider, someone who doesn't quite fit the expectations around her, but who possesses a fierce independence and kindness. Her bond with Bumblebee reflects a longing for connection that transcends differences, emphasizing how relationships can heal wounds and help people reclaim their sense of self. Together, their friendship becomes a symbol of hope and resilience, showing how finding family is not about biology or origin, but about trust and understanding. Symbolism enriches the narrative in subtle yet meaningful ways. The choice of Bumblebee's form as a Volkswagen Beetle is itself symbolic. The Beetle, a car known for its quirky, unassuming design, stands apart from the sleek, aggressive shapes of other Transformers. It represents humility, perseverance, and charm, a perfect match for Bumblebee's character as a warrior with a gentle heart. This choice also taps into cultural nostalgia, evoking memories of a simpler, less complicated time. In this way, Bumblebee's shape becomes a symbol for the idea that strength can come in unexpected forms and that true heroism is about character, not appearance. The film's setting in the 1980s adds another layer of symbolism and social commentary. This decade, often romanticized for its music, fashion, and pop culture, serves as a backdrop for themes of innocence, discovery, and transformation. By situating the story during this time, the filmmakers highlight a moment in history when technology was advancing rapidly but before the digital world took over. This choice underscores the tension between progress and preservation, between embracing change and holding on to what makes us human. The era also allows the film to explore the theme of communication through analog means, like radio waves, which contrasts beautifully with Bumblebee's mechanical nature and adds emotional texture to the story. Social commentary in Bumblebee often emerges through the depiction of human relationships and societal expectations. Charlie's struggle as a teenage girl trying to find independence reflects broader conversations about gender roles and the challenges young women face when asserting their identity. The film portrays her as strong and resourceful without resorting to stereotypes, offering a fresh perspective on female protagonists in action and sci-fi genres. Her journey is not just about fighting external threats, but about claiming agency in a world that often tries to confine her to narrow roles. This message resonates deeply with audiences who see in Charlie's story a reflection of their own experiences with growth and self-discovery. The tension between Bumblebee and the government agents, particularly Agent Jack Burns, offers another layer of social critique. The government's suspicion and militarization in response to the unknown reflect real-world anxieties about control, fear of the other, and the consequences of aggressive authority. The film critiques how institutions can sometimes react harshly to those they don't understand, leading to conflict rather than cooperation. This dynamic encourages viewers to question how society treats outsiders and the importance of empathy in bridging divides. Bumblebee's gentle nature challenges these fears, showing that difference does not equal danger, and that openness can lead to understanding rather than conflict. Family, both chosen and biological, is another theme woven throughout the film. Charlie's relationship with her aunt, who acts as her guardian, highlights the complexities of modern family structures. The film acknowledges that family is not always perfect or traditional, but can still provide support and love. This broadening of what family means mirrors societal shifts and invites viewers to think about the ways relationships define us. Moreover, Bumblebee's own history and connections with the Autobots reflect a longing for belonging that extends beyond human characters, emphasizing the universal need for connection. The recurring motif of communication, how it can be lost, found, and transformed, permeates the movie. Bumblebee's use of radio clips to speak is more than a clever gimmick. It symbolizes the ways people connect despite barriers. The snippets of music, dialogue, and static noise he uses create a patchwork language that blends old and new, mechanical and human, alien and familiar. This creative approach reminds us that communication is not just about words, but about emotion, intention, and shared experience. It celebrates diversity in expression and highlights the importance of listening beyond surface-level language. Visually, the film employs symbolism to deepen its messages. The contrast between Bumblebee's bright yellow and the darker tones of the Decepticons emphasizes the battle between hope and fear, innocence and corruption. The use of light and shadow in key scenes often mirrors the emotional states of the characters, reinforcing themes of discovery and transformation. The film's framing frequently places Bumblebee and Charlie in natural settings, symbolizing growth, renewal, and the beauty of connection outside of technological chaos. Another striking symbolic element is the transformation itself. In a literal sense, it's the ability of the robots to shift shapes. But metaphorically, it represents change, adaptability, and the capacity to reinvent oneself. Both Charlie and Bumblebee undergo transformations. Bumblebee physically repairs and rediscovers his voice, while Charlie grows emotionally, gaining confidence and healing. The film uses this dual transformation to suggest that change is not only inevitable but necessary for survival and fulfillment. The theme of sacrifice also weaves through the narrative, underscoring the costs of bravery and loyalty. Bumblebee's willingness to risk everything to protect Charlie speaks to deeper ideas about love and From the very first frame of Bumblebee, it's clear the filmmakers approach this chapter of the Transformers saga with a fresh visual and emotional sensibility, crafting a cinematic experience that balances dazzling spectacle with intimate storytelling. The movie's visual style reflects this duality beautifully, drawing viewers into a world where the mechanical and the human coexist seamlessly, and every shot is carefully composed to deepen the story's emotional resonance. The cinematography plays a pivotal role in shaping the film's tone. Cinematographer Otto Nemens's work uses a softer color palette than the typical Transformers films, favoring warm, nostalgic hues that evoke the late 1980s setting and the bittersweet undertones of the story. The golden light that bathes many outdoor scenes highlights the warmth of Charlie's world, a stark contrast to the colder, metallic environments associated with the Decepticons and the government agents. This thoughtful use of color subtly communicates emotional states, Moments of safety and friendship glow with warmth, while tension and danger are conveyed through harsher, more clinical lighting. This contrast invites the audience to feel the difference between Bumblebee's world and the threatening forces pursuing him, creating an immersive visual language that supports the narrative. Camera work in Bumblebee often emphasizes intimacy, a deliberate stylistic choice that distinguishes the film from the broader Transformers series. Instead of relying heavily on wide, sweeping shots of destruction, many sequences focus closely on characters' faces and subtle body language. This technique draws viewers into the characters' inner lives, allowing small expressions and gestures to carry emotional weight. For instance, close-ups of Charlie's face as she tentatively reaches out to Bumblebee reveal layers of curiosity, caution, and hope. Similarly, the camera lingers on Bumblebee's blinking optics, capturing his confusion and vulnerability without needing words. These shots build a connection between the audience and the characters, making their bond feel personal and genuine. The film's editing rhythm mirrors its emotional beats, flowing between quiet, reflective moments and bursts of kinetic action. Editor Christian Guzel crafts a pace that allows scenes to breathe, giving viewers time to absorb emotional subtleties before plunging into the excitement of robot battles and chase sequences. This balance prevents the film from feeling overwhelming and ensures the emotional core remains front and center. For example, after a frenetic action scene, the film often cuts to a slower, more contemplative moment, such as Charlie and Bumblebee sharing a quiet conversation or exploring the countryside, which grounds the story and reinforces its themes of healing and connection. This ebb and flow create a satisfying narrative rhythm that feels natural and engaging. Visual effects in Bumblebee are another cornerstone of its storytelling style. The filmmakers took a different approach here compared to previous Transformers movies, opting for designs that feel tactile and functional rather than overly complex or hyper-detailed. Bumblebee's transformation sequences are fluid and clear, making it easy for viewers to follow his movements and understand his mechanical nature. This clarity helps humanize the character, allowing audiences to see him as a living being rather than just a CGI spectacle. The action scenes involving Decepticons Shatter and Dropkick are similarly well executed, combining fast-paced combat with believable physics and attention to detail. The effects team balances grandeur with accessibility, creating robot battles that thrill without overwhelming the viewer. Sound design in Bumblebee is integral to its immersive quality, reinforcing the emotional texture and enhancing the visual storytelling. The choice to have Bumblebee communicate primarily through radio snippets is a brilliant sound design decision that transforms what could have been a limitation into a narrative strength. The patchwork of voices, music clips, and static that compose his speech creates a unique auditory identity that conveys emotion, humor, and personality. This inventive use of sound not only endears Bumblebee to the audience but also ties into the film's themes of communication and connection across barriers. The soundscape around Bumblebee's presence often mixes mechanical whirs and clicks with softer, more organic sounds, blurring the line between machine and living creature. Complementing the sound design is the film's evocative musical score by Dario Marianelli, which elevates both quiet character moments and action sequences. The score blends orchestral warmth with synth tones evocative of the 80s era, reinforcing the nostalgic yet timeless feel of the film. In scenes where Charlie and Bumblebee bond, the music swells with gentle, heartfelt melodies that underscore the tenderness of their connection. During action sequences, the score shifts dynamically, using driving rhythms and sharp cues to heighten tension and excitement without overshadowing the visuals. This thoughtful balance allows the music to support the storytelling subtly but powerfully. Another standout stylistic choice is the film's deliberate use of practical effects and physical sets, which grounds the story in a tangible reality. Unlike many contemporary blockbusters that lean heavily on CGI backgrounds, Bumblebee incorporates real locations, such as California's coastal highways and small-town streets, lending authenticity to the setting. The junkyard where Charlie first finds Bumblebee, for example, is filled with carefully arranged cars and detritus that evoke a lived-in, textured world. These practical elements help the audience suspend disbelief, making the presence of a giant transforming robot feel plausible within a recognizable human environment. The tactile quality of these settings adds to the emotional resonance, as viewers feel they are stepping into Charlie's world rather than just watching a fantasy. The director, Travis Knight, brings a distinct visual sensibility shaped by his background in animation. His experience in storytelling through movement and expression translates into the film's fluid action sequences and nuanced character interactions. Knight's vision prioritizes emotional clarity and visual coherence, ensuring that even the most complex sequences remain easy to follow. This approach results in a film that's visually rich without being chaotic, where every frame serves the story rather than just spectacle. His use of slow-motion shots during key emotional beats adds gravitas, allowing the audience to savor moments of transformation and realization. Lighting choices further deepen the film's mood and thematic resonance. The use of naturalistic light in many scenes reinforces the authenticity of Charlie's world, while carefully crafted shadows create suspense and highlight the stakes when danger approaches. In the climactic battle scenes, contrasting light sources, flashing sirens, neon signs, and robotic glows create a visually striking environment that emphasizes the clash between the human and mechanical worlds. This dynamic lighting supports the narrative tension and visually symbolizes the struggle between hope and threat. One of the most striking aspects of Bumblebee is the undeniable chemistry that sparks between the cast, especially the heartfelt connection between Hailee Steinfeld, who plays Charlie, and the character of Bumblebee himself. From their very first scenes together, there's a genuine warmth and ease that elevates the film beyond a typical action-packed blockbuster. Hailee's performance is grounded in authenticity. Her subtle expressions and naturalistic delivery bring Charlie to life as a relatable, strong-willed teenager navigating loss and new friendships. What makes their bond so believable isn't just the script, but the palpable trust and affection Hailee developed with the puppetry and CGI teams who brought Bumblebee to life. This trust allowed her to react instinctively to a character that wasn't physically present during much of the shooting, which is a testament to her skill and openness as an actor. The dynamic between Charlie and Bumblebee is not only central to the film's emotional core but also sets the tone for the entire cast's interactions. The human characters around Charlie, her aunt, her friends, and even the antagonistic agents, are portrayed with nuance and depth, making the world feel lived in and authentic. John Cena's portrayal of Agent Jack Burns brings a grounded, tough but complex energy that contrasts with Charlie's youthful vulnerability. Behind the scenes, Cena's professionalism and camaraderie with the younger cast helped create a supportive atmosphere on set, which translated into believable tension and conflict on screen. Stories from filming reveal that Cena often went out of his way to mentor the younger actors, fostering a collaborative environment that clearly benefited the final product. The cast chemistry extends beyond the leads. Actors like Pamela Adlon, who plays Charlie's aunt, deliver performances infused with subtle humor and emotional complexity, enriching the family dynamic. The interactions between the characters feel spontaneous, a result of the director's encouragement of improvisation and organic exchanges. This approach to performance allowed moments of levity and tenderness to emerge naturally, which helped balance the film's darker themes and action sequences. It's said that many of the smaller, quieter moments on set, shared glances, off-script jokes, even silent exchanges, found their way into the film, creating layers of authenticity that audiences connect with deeply. Behind the scenes, the atmosphere on set reflected this collaborative spirit. The cast and crew frequently spoke about the respectful and inclusive environment fostered by director Travis Knight, who brought his background in animation to prioritize emotion and character-driven storytelling. Knight encouraged open communication and valued input from actors and technical teams alike, which created a sense of shared purpose. Crew members have described the set as energetic yet focused, with moments of genuine laughter and camaraderie that helped ease the pressures of a demanding shoot. This positive energy is evident in the film's tone, which balances excitement with heartfelt moments. Filming locations also contributed to the cast's dynamic. Shooting in real-world environments, small-town streets, coastal highways, and junkyards helped the actors immerse themselves in their characters' worlds. Many cast members remarked on how the physical settings inspired their performances, offering tangible textures and atmosphere that CGI backdrops can't replicate. The natural light, changing weather, and the tactile reality of these locations brought a sense of groundedness to the performances, making the human-robot relationship feel more believable and intimate. As the film progressed through production, several anecdotes emerged that reveal how the cast and crew adapted to unexpected challenges. For instance, working with the CGI-heavy character of Bumblebee required patience and imagination, especially during complex action scenes. Hailee Steinfeld often had to interact with empty spaces or motion capture markers, relying on her creative instincts and the guidance of the effects team. Crew members recall how her focus and professionalism made these scenes smoother, helping other actors stay engaged despite the technical demands. Meanwhile, Cena reportedly embraced the physicality of his role, performing many of his own stunts and fostering a spirited work ethic that inspired those around him. When Bumblebee premiered, the response from audiences and critics alike was overwhelmingly positive, largely due to the film's emotional heart and character-driven approach. Fans praised the chemistry between Hailee and the digital Bumblebee, noting how this relationship brought fresh warmth to a franchise often known for spectacle over soul. Critics highlighted Steinfeld's breakout performance, applauding her ability to anchor the film with sincerity and depth. Many reviews pointed out how the chemistry among the cast made the story feel personal and engaging, elevating the movie beyond expectations for a Transformers installment. Audience reactions online and in theaters reflected this connection. Social media buzzed with appreciation for the film's nostalgic 1980s setting and heartfelt storytelling. Viewers shared how Charlie and Bumblebee's friendship resonated with their own experiences of finding connection in unlikely places. The film's balance of thrilling action and tender moments struck a chord across diverse demographics, with both longtime fans of the franchise and newcomers expressing enthusiasm. Conventions and fan gatherings celebrated Bumblebee for its approachable tone and character focus, leading to sustained interest and discussions about potential sequels. Long-term fan engagement has been remarkable. The movie sparked fan art, cosplay, and deep dives into the characters' backstories, highlighting how the cast's chemistry inspired passionate communities. This engagement is a testament to the actors' ability to breathe life into their roles, making characters feel real and worth rooting for. Hailee Steinfeld's portrayal of Charlie, in particular, became an emblem for strong female leads in sci-fi, inspiring many fans to see themselves reflected in her resilience and kindness. Critically, Bumblebee helped reshape perceptions of the Transformers franchise. The emphasis on character chemistry and emotional storytelling set a new standard, influencing how future installments approached casting and narrative focus. Industry insiders noted that the film's success was due in large part to the ensemble's cohesiveness, which allowed for nuanced performances amid blockbuster spectacle. This blend of relatable human moments with thrilling robot action demonstrated the power of well-matched cast dynamics. The film's enduring appeal also owes much to the director's skill in harnessing this chemistry and set energy. Travis Knight's collaborative leadership style ensured that the cast's natural rapport was captured on camera, resulting in performances that feel effortless and genuine. His trust in the actors allowed them to explore their characters fully, leading to moments of spontaneous emotion that heighten the film's impact. Behind the scenes, Knight's passion for storytelling motivated the entire team, fostering a creative environment where each contribution was valued. As the credits roll on Bumblebee, it's clear that this film is more than just another entry in the sprawling Transformers saga. It marks a pivotal moment in the evolution of its genre and the landscape of blockbuster filmmaking. The movie's legacy extends far beyond its box office numbers or immediate fan excitement. It redefined what audiences could expect from a giant robot movie and reshaped pop culture's relationship with science fiction and action storytelling. Looking back, it becomes evident that Bumblebee did not merely continue a franchise. It changed its course in ways that still resonate deeply today. At its core, Bumblebee dared to center empathy, vulnerability, and personal connection in a genre typically dominated by spectacle and high-octane thrills. By shifting focus from overwhelming CGI battles to a more intimate, character-driven narrative, the film opened a new door for blockbuster storytelling. This approach influenced other filmmakers to reconsider how to blend heart and heroics, inspiring a wave of genre films that prioritize emotional authenticity alongside visual grandeur. In doing so, Bumblebee helped broaden the appeal of sci-fi and action movies, inviting audiences who might have previously found these genres inaccessible or superficial. One of the film's most significant contributions lies in its successful fusion of nostalgia and innovation. Set in the late 1980s, Bumblebee captured the era's spirit through its aesthetic, music, and cultural references without feeling like a mere throwback. Instead, it used nostalgia as a bridge, connecting new audiences with timeless themes of friendship, identity, and belonging. This deft balance between honoring the past and crafting something fresh set a standard for how films can engage with cultural history thoughtfully, avoiding cliches while sparking genuine emotional responses. The movie's soundtrack, blending 80s hits with an original score, further cemented its role as a cultural touchstone that celebrates the power of music to evoke memory and mood. Critically, Bumblebee was recognized not only for its storytelling but also for its technical achievements and creative choices. The film earned accolades for its visual effects, sound design, and performances, particularly highlighting Hailee Steinfeld's breakout role. While it may not have swept major awards, its nominations and wins in genre-specific ceremonies underscored its quality and influence within the industry. More importantly, Bumblebee showed that a Transformers film could receive serious critical respect, challenging assumptions about the franchise's artistic potential and opening doors for future installments to aim higher creatively. The cultural impact of Bumblebee also extends to its role in promoting diversity and representation in blockbuster cinema. By centering a strong female protagonist who drives the story with empathy, intelligence, and courage, the film broke new ground in a franchise long dominated by male leads and action-focused narratives. Charlie's character became a beacon for young audiences, especially girls and women, who saw themselves reflected in her resilience and kindness. This shift contributed to ongoing conversations about the importance of inclusive storytelling in Hollywood, influencing casting and narrative decisions beyond the Transformers universe. Moreover, Bumblebee's success demonstrated the commercial viability of such inclusivity, proving that audiences crave stories with emotional depth and diverse perspectives. This realization encouraged studios to greenlight projects that might have previously been seen as risky, gradually changing the landscape of blockbuster filmmaking toward richer, more varied narratives. The film's ability to resonate across demographics, young and old, longtime fans and newcomers alike, showcases its broad cultural reach and staying power. Fan communities embraced Bumblebee with remarkable enthusiasm, further amplifying its legacy. The movie sparked vibrant discussions, fan art, cosplay, and conventions dedicated to celebrating its characters and themes. This grassroots engagement transformed Bumblebee from a single film into a cultural phenomenon, fostering connections among viewers and creating a shared language of appreciation that persists years after its release. These fans' passion helped keep the film alive in popular culture, inspiring merchandise, spin-offs, and hopes for sequels that continue to explore the heartfelt relationship at the movie's core. Looking at Bumblebee through the lens of its genre, the film stands as a refreshing example of how a reboot or spin-off can succeed by focusing on storytelling fundamentals rather than solely on technological spectacle. Its success encouraged other franchises to consider rebooting with similar attention to character and tone, influencing a broader trend of more emotionally grounded science fiction and action films. This shift hints at a maturing genre landscape where audience expectations have evolved, craving meaning alongside excitement. The lasting significance of Bumblebee lies in its demonstration that blockbuster movies can be both entertaining and meaningful, that heart and heroism can coexist in spectacular ways. It challenged the notion that large-scale films must sacrifice emotional nuance for spectacle, offering a blueprint for future filmmakers eager to strike this delicate balance. Its influence is felt not only in subsequent Transformers installments, but also in a wider array of genre films that seek to marry technical prowess with storytelling soul.